This is something I get asked about all the time. Lemon, how do you balance everything you're doing? How do you balance all of the home study things you do? How do you balance a business? How do you balance the podcast? How do you balance book writing and Girl Power Alliance and being a good wife and mother? I'm going to spill all the secrets. I'm going to give you the full behind the scenes on how I manage my day-to-day, my friends. Hey friend, welcome to Milk and Honey with Lemon. The Bible says in Numbers 14:8, and if the Lord is pleased with us, he will bring us safely into that land and give it to us. It is a rich land flowing with milk and honey. On this podcast, we talk about stepping into that overflow that God has for us by becoming those ultimate Proverbs 31 women. Hey, I'm Lemon. I am just like you, sister friend. I knew God had something more in store for me, but I couldn't see a way out of the laundry piles. And frankly, I resented that Proverbs 31 woman. How was I going to live up to the hype? That is until I found out how to really step into becoming this Proverbs 31 woman through leadership development. In this podcast, you're going to find financial freedom, leadership growth, and motivation so you'll be able to do all the things God has called you to do with ease and really step into that land of milk and honey. Before I share the secret to balancing your business with your family, with everything that you want to accomplish, I want to share with you that I actually have a couple of fun resources for you. So you can either go grab a sneak peek of my membership. There is a course inside of there called Kick the Clock, which is amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend, as always. Or go to the show notes and download my Rooted Radiance Blueprint. That is 10 things that I think that homemaking entrepreneurial women need to do every single day if they want to create more balance and harmony in their day. So head to the show notes. You can grab either one of those in there, and I will see you inside. Welcome back to the Milk and Honey Podcast. I'm your host, Lemon Price, and I am really excited because this is honestly something I get DMs about on a regular basis. I literally have emails. I have Facebook posts. I have a ton of things where women are asking me like, how are you doing it all? We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And so then I get asked, how are you juggling it all? And the truth of the matter is, I used to look at these women on Instagram. If you're paying attention right now on TikTok or anything, Ballerina Farm is actually getting a ton of hate, which makes me sad. I love Ballerina Farm. And people really hate her brand because she came from money and, well, her husband did. Her husband is his dad owns JetBlue. And so they have money. But that doesn't negate the fact that she's still like making her own cheese and pasta and bread. And she's doing and she has a full-fledged farm. And so she's still doing those things. But there's a lot of petty betties out there. And if you are one of them, I'm sorry, I just called you a petty betty. But there's a lot of people who are really mad at her because she is posting this beautiful lifestyle that she has. And of course, we're only seeing highlight reels. We're only seeing the best parts of it. But everybody wants to know, like, how are you balancing it all? Like, how are you able to do it all? How do you make this look good and feel good? And how do you not burn out? And like I said, I follow accounts like Ballerina Farm all the time, and it definitely inspires me. And of course, this podcast, we're talking about being the ultimate Proverbs 31 woman. And she is making her kids clothing. She's running multiple businesses. She's managing her house. Like, she's doing all of those things too. And if that is the woman that people are always saying we should aspire to outside of Jesus, then there's a lot we can take from her on balance. And what I want to say about this topic, you may not necessarily completely love, but I don't think there's such a thing as balance. I don't think there's such a thing where everything is completely equal, and your children and your business and your home and your husband and the places you volunteer, like, none of them are getting equal time and energy from you. It's just not the reality. The reality is, if you have small children, and I'm talking like under school age children, 4 and below, guess what? A majority of your time is going to be spent with littles because that's the priority. I remember when Glenn and I first got together, so Wyatt was 4 back then, and he is 10 now. And so he was in half-day preschool. Have any of you guys ever done half-day preschool? It is the worst thing ever. I just want to say, for me personally, it was terrible because we live out in the sticks and we've always lived in a rural part of Georgia. And so I cannot go anywhere without it being at least a 15-minute drive. Like I can't even get to like a semi-decent store, and by semi-decent, a Dollar General, without it taking 7 or 8 minutes just to a Dollar General. And then a grocery store, forget about it, 15 minutes easily, right? So I'm like in the sticks. And so schools are the same way. School, 15, 20 minutes for me to get to their school. And it's always been this way, which is great. And I love it personally, but it is super inconvenient when half-day preschool was a thing for me. So my business was thriving when I met Glenn. I was in a really good spot business-wise. I'd been working for myself at that point for 9 months exclusively. I'd moved to Georgia. Like I was thriving. I was doing really well. I was traveling. I was going to these really cool parties, and I went to a Ferrari dealership opening. Like I was getting ready to travel to South America for a few weeks. Like I was doing well in my business. And then I meet my husband, and he has a 4-year-old, and half-day preschool is a thing. And so all of the time that I'd spent on my business suddenly dissipated, right? Like I didn't have the same luxury because now I have a 4-year-old. And so, of course, instead of Glenn hiring a babysitter, because that's what he was doing, he had a sitter come in the morning and then drive Wyatt to school and then pick Wyatt up from school and then be there when Oliver got off the bus. And so he didn't have to do that anymore. I was home. It just made sense for me to do that. Like, why would we spend our money doing that? But again, we lived in the sticks, and I was driving 20 minutes to school in the morning, and he only went to school for 3 hours a day. So I would drive 20 minutes to school, drive the 20 minutes home, go work for about 2-ish hours, 2.5 hours, probably 2 hours, right? Because by the time I got home, I've now lost 20 minutes. Now I need to drive back to the school. And y'all, if you have ever been in a school pickup line at the end of the day, if you are the mom getting to school over an hour before dismissal, stop doing that. Stop doing that. It's always an insane line. Like, why are people there an hour before school gets out? Stop it. And so I had to leave. And so half-day preschool got out again, like 30 minutes before the rest of the school. And so I would have to get to the school early enough to try to get parking because all of these moms were at the school over an hour before their kid got out of school. Like, who has that kind of time? I don't. There went my day. Like, I went from having unlimited time and resources to, well, now, like, spending an hour and 20 minutes a day driving to and from school. I am spending, and then Oliver was in kindergarten, so I was helping him with homework, and then I'm making dinner, and like I was doing things. Like the season changed rapidly for me. And so there wasn't balance. Like it wasn't balance in the way that people think of balance. There wasn't balance in the business didn't get the same kind of attention that it used to get because I now had a family who required more attention from me. Now the kids are in school, right? They are 10 and almost 12. And so my time looks a little differently. It just does because they are capable of getting themselves a drink. They are capable of getting themselves a snack. They can do things on their own. And they're also in school full day. They leave our house at 6:30 in the morning and don't get home till 3 o'clock. I have ample time to get stuff done now. Stuff that I was not capable of getting done before. And so it looks different, but the family is still getting full attention from me when they get home from school. And I'm making dinner and doing the things that are important, but it just looks different. And so I want to tell you, whatever the season looks like for you, it's okay if your family gets more. It's okay if your business gets more. It just depends on what season of life you're in and what your support system looks like. All of those things look different for you. And so I just want to be super clear. It doesn't have to look one certain way. It doesn't have to feel one certain way. When I think of balance, I think of, do I feel peaceful about the time being dedicated to certain things? Do I feel pressed for time? Do I feel rushed? Am I taking on projects that are making me feel like I'm incapable? Am I putting stress on my schedule? If I'm not, right, and then I'm acting from this place where I feel harmonious, I feel good, then that to me is balance. Is my family getting adequate time? Yes. Is my business currently getting adequate time for the season that we're in? Yes. Okay, then that feels good to me. That to me is balance. Am I creating space for self-care? Yes. Okay, that's balance to me. And so it doesn't have to be this thing where it looks a certain way. I can't give you a cookie cutter schedule. I can't tell you to do these 1, 2, 3 things and suddenly your life is going to be pure harmony. That's just not the way it works. What I can tell you works for me. So this is the big thing that I do is I sit down and I look at my priorities. What are your priorities? So when I'm thinking about my priorities, I look at my calendar. So I'll go to my calendar and I will say, where is family time important for me? And so I will put family time in. So my calendar is blocked from 3 to 8 because my kids go to bed at 8. So it is blocked from 3 to 8 p.m. every single day, Monday to Friday. My calendar is blocked. Nobody can get on a meeting with me unless something is like really pressing, and I'll do it if I have to, but I don't necessarily want to. And so, yeah, I block family time first. Then I look at like days that I know, like holidays. So I'll look at birthdays, I'll look at holidays, my wedding anniversary, all of those things, block those off. So Glenn's birthday is 4th of July. And so he's always off on 4th of July. But depending on what day it is, like we're doing something the day before, the day after, we are doing something that weekend, whatever it is. I block that next on my calendar. Like I said, I know Thanksgiving week, I don't really want to do anything past Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, blocked on my calendar. Do I want to do anything on any of the kids' birthday? No. Will I do it while they're in school? For sure, if it's a school day. But after, again, they get home, blocked. So I go and I block everything that is important to me. First and foremost, it is blocked on my calendar. And then I sit down and I like, what are my have to do's, right? Or what are things that are important to me, like self-care wise? So this sounds crazy, but I literally have my quiet time blocked in my calendar. I have when I'm walking the puppy blocked in my calendar. I have my bedtime routine blocked in my calendar, and I color code it with different things. So it doesn't all look like one big colossal mess of business or family or whatever. So it's color coded, right? So like things that are personal to me are one color, business another. So for me, self-care is a have to do. For me, taking care of myself first and foremost is a have to do, because I cannot be the best at anything if I am not pouring into myself first. So I then block that off too. So what does that look like for me? I'm creating that daily routine for myself. And yeah, I block lunch because there are so many times, and you guys probably know this, as busy women who are running businesses and taking care of families, like how often are you skipping lunch? Stop doing that. Put it in your calendar so you don't miss food. You have to eat if you want to keep going. So I block everything that is important. And then I look at my priorities, business-wise too. So what are my priorities? For me, I do a legacy hour every day. That is just me being intentional with the conversations that I'm having, making sure people are getting the links they need. So that's an hour a day blocked. Right now, I'm working on my book with Camille. And so I block that in the calendar, the calls that I have with Camille, as well as my writing time. So that's all blocked in my calendar. That's something I want to accomplish this year. So it's blocked in my calendar. Podcast learning, that's blocked in my calendar. Days that I'm going to record, and I batch record for the month. And so I block that in my calendar to make sure that's done. I make sure there's time blocked in my calendar for me to upload show notes and email the guests their graphics and all of those things. They're all blocked in my calendar. And so then whatever's left is wherever people can fill in with meetings, or it's easy for me to look and say, yes, I can do this thing at church at this time because I know that I have the availability. And I know this sounds so simple, but that's really how I juggle everything that I do, is I make sure that family time with the Lord and personal stuff are taken care of first in my calendar. I look at my goals that I've set for myself for the year, the quarter, the month, whatever it is. I make sure those are blocked in my calendar so they become a priority. And then everything else can filter in. I have time restrictions on my actual booking link. So I'm not taking 10 of the same meeting in one day. You can only take 2 of those a day, and once they're gone. And it's really the best way for me to make sure that I am pouring into myself, but also giving my best to the business and to the family and to places I volunteer and serve. I'm making sure they're all getting the best of me because I'm not overspending in one area or the other. But if my family needs me, like there was a period 2 years ago where my family really needed me. Business was going well, but my family really needed me. And so I took a step back and my family got way more of me than business did, than church did, than anything else did, because that had to be the priority. And so for you, what's the priority for you? And I know I said this earlier, but what is the priority for you? What do you want to accomplish? What realistically fits in your day? If you have a newborn or a toddler, it's going to look different than me with my almost middle schoolers. It's just going to look different. And that's okay. You don't have to compare it. It just looks different. Literally today, one of my best friends, she called me because she has a 1-year-old, and she was just burnt out. She was like, I can't go to meetings right now. I can't do those things right now. I have a 1-year-old who won't fall asleep unless we go drive around. And so if any of you are like sleep trainers or know how to get a 1-year-old to nap, please send those tips my way to my Instagram. I will forward them to her. But that's what she had to do. That was the priority. She was out driving around, running errands, and going to this drive-through and that drive-through to pick up, medicine and something from Starbucks, because that's what she had time for. And her schedule has to adjust. The priorities had to adjust because of the season of life she's in. And it's okay. And so balance, I don't think ever actually looks like everything is equal. Everything gets the same amount of time and energy from you. I just don't believe that's realistic. I think what is realistic is deciding what is important for you. What is a priority right now? What does your family need? What do you need? And then adjusting accordingly. I think that's the only way to do this. And so again, if you're sitting here and you're like, Lemon, that sounds really cool, but I need some help here, then go grab the sneak peek of the membership that I have. You're going to go in there, you're going to go to personal development, and you're going to take a course called Kick the Clock. You can get through it in an hour or two. It's quick, fast, and easy, and it'll really help you set your priorities. You can also grab my Rooted Radiance Blueprint, and that's going to help you decide, like, here's 10 things I need to do every single day to have a little bit more balance and harmony in my life. So go grab those. They're both in the show notes for you. You can just click the links. They're all clickable. I made it easy. And I will see you all next time, my friend. Hey friend, what a joy it has been to share today's journey with you. If you found a spark of inspiration or a nugget of wisdom that resonated, would you bless someone else by sharing this episode with them? It could be the encouragement they need to step into their purpose and calling. Also, if you could spare a moment to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I really appreciate your feedback, and it really helps our community grow. Remember, the road to discovering God's call for you isn't one you have to walk alone. So join me again next Monday for another episode where we'll continue to explore the depths of leadership and the heights of our heavenly calling. Until then, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep trusting in His plan. God bless you, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye, friend.